Alright gang, welcome back to our vanilla survival here on Maypole Farm. It is December and it is a very snowy December today. Couldn't have picked, honestly, a better time to find a house to live in. Would have been pretty cold at this point, and with the cold of the snow now falling on the ground here. Would have been probably a bit of a very, very brutal night, I guess is how I will put it, if I didn't end up buying this house from the land that we purchased. So that's a fantastic thing for us to have. Looks like this bale finally flipped over the way I wanted it to flip over, where I wanted all of them to flip over, but unfortunately, the way that this is currently set up with the forklift here, I don't really have that option. I can't back the forklift up, or, well, I guess pick the forklift up enough to actually be able to flip the bale over, right? But either way, we're gonna make it work. We're making it work. We're making all of this work, honestly, as a matter of fact. But how's everyone doing today? I hope you're all doing well. Things are good here, man. All things considered, I'm gonna try. This is probably not going to work, but I'm going to attempt to put one more up there. We've got a lot of bales still to pick up. This is going to be multiple trips we're going to be doing here today in December. And that's okay. It's not a huge issue that we're going to be doing multiple trips, but nonetheless, we are we're going to be busy today, hopefully, right? Hopefully the goal today is that we'll be able to... Oh, that's going to fall. Well, that's better. That's much better. But today we're going to be busy, right? We're going to get the sheep down, hopefully. Now, I'm not going to be able to put that many sheep in. And as a matter of fact, I've made the decision to do both sheep and goats since it stores so many. So we're going to do both in there in the same pen. Now, the odds are we're not going to be able to buy that many. We only have $16,000, as you can see. And we really need to make sure we have a little bit of that money left over. You know, for the fees and stuff we incur. It's about a little less than $1,000 a night that we're incurring right now, as far as fees go. So we got to be very cognizant of that and make sure that we try to keep some money at play for us. But we're gonna probably spend $10,000, I would think, maybe slightly more than that, around that, on animals here. We went ahead and purchased that land so we could actually utilize the pen for the sheep and goats. And if you missed the last episode, my goal, which we talked about quite a few episodes ago, was to put a pen right here, kind of in front of the pig pen here. It does not allow you to do it on the map. It says there's too many of them. You have to remove others before you can do so. Threw a curveball at me in the last episode. It was not exactly what I was hoping for or expecting, and it kind of screwed up the episode a bit. But we figured out a way to go forward, I guess, or to move forward. And in the process of doing that, we also ended up with a house, which is fantastic. Now, basically, it's a second yard that we now own. We got rid of a lot of the buildings on that to be able to help fund everything that we needed, specifically this trailer and that forklift. Now, I didn't necessarily have to go that forklift, and I didn't necessarily have to go this trailer. I could have went with the transport trailer that would pick up these bales, specifically for these bales. It would lift them up and put them in a nice stack. I could have went with that approach. We didn't. There are multiple reasons for that I kind of went through in the last episode. I won't go through them in high detail here, but more or less, long story short, the reason why we didn't is because we know that this is going to be more or less a one-time thing for us. In other words, the goal here is we're not really planning on mowing a bunch of grass or anything for sheep or goats as we move along. We might end up doing it later on in the series, but that's not really the intention. The intention of this series is to not specifically do that. I do goats and sheep a lot already as it is, so that wasn't the intention. But the intention really became, we bought this field up there where we just finished mowing and we're now picking the bales up for it, right? We bought that field. It seems a little wasteful to not go through and go ahead and purchase purchase sheep and utilize the grass from that field and feed them with... You know what? I think I'm just going to take a shortcut through here. Maybe it's not the way I should be going, because really I should be going down here and around, but I think I'm just going to take a shortcut through here. It's going to be a little bit faster. Anyway, realistically, we should have, you know, we're saving ourselves, or we're making a little bit of extra money, I guess, by going this route, right? We had plenty of time here in the winter months. We weren't going to have a ton to do. We were going to plow up the fields, but we were just going to be sitting around waiting. This gave us something to do here for a couple of episodes, and allows us to really make a little bit of extra money off the field, right? That otherwise would have just been plowed up for really no true profit, right? So we're going to gain a little bit of extra profit out of this, so yeah, so that's what we're doing. Like I said, I'm going to buy, you know, 10 or 12,000, something like that, of sheep and goats here, and then just let them reproduce, right? We've got plenty of bales here, so it should be sufficient for the time being. Now, as a matter of fact, I'm probably going to have to bring the forklift up here. It's probably going to be a big day of just moving these bales around. We're probably not going to have a whole lot of time to get started on doing anything else in regard to you know, the fields specifically that we want to put in there. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to bring that up here. I might be able to, like, slide them off a bit. But no matter which way I go about it, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. Okay, so 2 of them cost $1,000. All right, so are they all 488? Yes, they are. Let's buy 4 goats. We'll buy 2 of these. All right, so that gives us 9,000. So we want to spend a little bit more. So we'll buy. I'm gonna buy 2 more of each of these. And then I'm going to buy another 2 more goats. That leaves us with $4,000. It's a little less than what I said we were going to have, but I think that's a good mixture of everything there. I think that that's a good area, or a good spot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this or not. The odds are I'm not going to be able to, but I'm going to attempt to try something here real quick. If it works, great. If it doesn't, and we're going to have to bring the forklift up here anyway, I guess. Didn't really work. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try this way. It might work better this way. I don't know. Nope, that's not really working. I was just trying to slide them off, possible, and it's just not going to work. So we're unfortunately going to have to bring this thing up here. It's going to take us a long time. This is not a fast-moving machine. It's a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. There's not really much I can do about it. So I think what I'm going to do for right now, though, the sheep will be okay for a few minutes. Let's try to get some of these bales out of here that we know for a fact are going to be a problem. I guess what I can do, you know, since we're in this situation now, I guess what I can do is just kind of pull these bales out, and then technically it might be a little bit easier for us to pick them up, I guess. Instead of... I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter which way I do it, though, does it? I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's still going to take the same amount of time no matter which way I do it. There's a lot of bales here, gang. There's 55 bales, if you remember correctly in the last episode. 55 bales. It's a lot of bales. This is not going to be a fast process, unfortunately, like we had hoped and wanted it to be. Perhaps the other trailer might have been the way to go here. Perhaps I really did make a mistake on this. I can already tell you I think I did make a mistake. I think I should have went with that other trailer. I think we should have just borrowed, well, I say borrowed. I'm not allowed to borrow in this series, but I should have, like, bought this and then sold it. But the problem is you're going to probably need it again later on. So is that really beneficial? No, I don't think so. So I think we're just going to have to kind of, you know, suffer through the fact that we're going to have to take this back and forth for a little while. once we get all these bales over there, it really won't be a problem. We're not going to be utilizing this over on this yard for at least for a little while. Now, a couple other notes. In the last episode, I talked about, you know, an idea that one of you had in the comments, which was specifically to do some greenhouses to at least start, you know, a smaller, you know, production, or if you will, a setup for the pigs, if you will. Based off of the issues that we ran into with the pin, I'm not even sure if it's going to allow us to put anything down. There's a high probability it's going to say you can't put anything down. I hope that's not the case, but I don't trust anything at all right now at this point, right? I don't trust anything. But how's everyone doing today? I hope you're doing well. Things are good, man. All things considered, there's a lot of bales in here. I feel like I'm going to miss them. They're like kind of hiding in here. I feel like I'm gonna miss some of these. Alright, I think the rest of those we'll leave there. I can see them pretty easily. I don't think there's any more hidden ones in there. I'm just going to take these two up here with me. That's two less I have to stack up on the trailer, right? It's an idea. I don't think it's going to work, but it's an idea. Can I put these in here and then just modify the trailer into a grass trailer? That would be fantastic if it accepts them. It doesn't. I didn't think it would. I think it was just a grain silo, but, you know, it was worth a shot. Maybe that's something we could look into, though. If there's some kind of a silo we can put down. It probably was one we had on one of the two farms. We probably had one where it might have actually been able to accept, you know, grass. But maybe we should look at that and see if there is anything. No, it's $16,000, but I bet this one, I think this one was on the other side. I bet it could work, but we'd really want it to be over here, though. But we don't have $16,000 right now anyway. Maybe if I didn't buy so many sheep, maybe we would have. Yeah, we really didn't have much money then either, though, to be honest with you. So, all right, well, we've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. It's going to take us a while. Let's see if we can get all of this done, though, huh? You know what? I had an idea. This is our sheep pasture right here, right? It is our sheep pasture. Okay, so just hear me out for a minute. Hear me out for a minute. I know this isn't our field. We're not going to be able to get rid of these trees here. But I bet you... Can I find a way through there? I don't know. I don't know if I can. Now, there's a lot of trees there. I probably could get rid of this. Maybe not the most ideal situation, but then I could, you know, just kind of storm right through here, across the meadow here, because you'd really want to keep the fence here to protect them, though, right? So, but, I don't know. Maybe it won't work. Let me see if it'd work or not. It kind of seems like it would, doesn't it? I'll tell you what. We're gonna do it down here. And if we can open up an entrance into here, this is going to save us a ton. But I don't know for sure if it's going to work or not. We're just going to hope and pray that it does. Yeah, see, this fence is in the way. That's kind of what I was afraid of. I was going to say I don't think that fence is necessarily attached to that. So yeah, there's not going to be a way for us to take a shortcut into here. That is unfortunate. Can I modify this? No, I cannot. Well, that's too bad. That would have been nice. All right, well, I guess we're gonna get to work then. I was gonna put a time lapse in there, but then I ran into that and I was like, ooh, maybe we can take a little shortcut here, with the full understanding that the sheep and the goats will be, you know, exposed to any kind of animal there. But yeah. That's too bad. I was hoping that that was going to work. I was hoping I could at least maybe remove it, modify it, put something in there. But yeah, that's just simply not going to work. Can I take a shortcut up this way? I mean, it looks like I can, technically. But is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe. What is this, grass? Yeah, they're not going to bother. It's not going to bother it. I'm gonna take the shortcut up here. It's not going to bother anybody. So we got a bit of a shortcut we can take. Then we'll just go across this field. It's a grass field, and it won't harm anything. And hopefully the neighbor doesn't yell at me, but I'm assuming they won't. All right, we're pulling back up here, gang, and I had a bit of a brainwave there. I looked, I'm sure you saw in the time lapse there when we were first putting the grass in there for the sheep and the goats. There's plenty of grass in there. They've even got meadow grass. There's plenty. So I thought, why would I spend the effort and the time moving all of those over right now? When I have a perfectly good barn, the exact same barn really, that's right here, and I can just utilize this and store all the bales in there for the time being, especially for the winter, right? There's going to be plenty of grass over there for our current sheep right now that it shouldn't be even close to a problem for quite a few, probably a year, honestly. It's going to be a while because they have plenty of grass, even though it says they only have, the effectiveness is really low there. That's 53,000 liters of grass for equivalent of what, 22 animals? It's plenty of food, especially with the meadow grass. That's plenty of food. They have like 100,000 liters of grass. There should be no problem at all. So just to save some time and allow us to actually start working on maybe, setting these fields up, I let it go. Evidently, I missed that little piece of grass there, but nonetheless. So there's quite a few bales up here still we have to pick up, and we will do that. Really, I would like to do it today, but I don't think we're going to have the time to do it because I do want to start working on getting the field prepped. So I was trying to think about, the best way about doing this, like which way we should go. Should I make the field like kind of split in half here, and then to the left's one field, and then to the right's one field, or should I like split it down this way, horizontal, right, versus vertical? I don't really know the answer to it. If I went the horizontal approach, this way, up here would be much flatter, which would allow us more opportunity to do different crops. Down here, more of a hill, but I still think we could do it. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. I mean, all of these fields have the same similar type of a hill, and they're fine, right? So, yeah. I don't know for whatever reason, when you get to this angle, all the snow stops. The snow's still going. It just stops when you get to this angle. It's very weird. And then it pops back up again. But anyway, I think I'm going to go the approach of down the middle here and then make like a track coming down this way. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Because I had talked about before potentially removing this fence line and doing this, but I don't necessarily think we need to if we go this way and we build a track up this way. I don't think we necessarily need to. Now, granted, there is a track here, so if I remove the fence here, technically we could just go about it that way and we get a little more space versus putting the track straight up this way. Well, either way, I'm kind of wasting time here. Either way, let's get into the plow and get started here. We're still going to do it the horizontal approach that I just showed you. And I've kind of made my decision at this point, so that's what we're going to do. For the most part, it seemed like everyone had a unanimous agreement about these plows and how no one really likes these, with the exception of a couple people. I know Redafel, he's one that likes it for some reason. I mean, it's fine. I shouldn't say that I hate it. I would rather do this than rolling, which might sound crazy, but I would. But yeah, it's just not my favorite thing in the world, for sure. I'd rather do this than rolling. I'd rather do this than potatoes, absolutely, for sure, 100%. No question about it on that one. Okay, why are we having issues here? What is happening right now? Okay, unfold plow, that's what I did. I lowered the plow. Okay, I guess it just was delayed for some reason on changing the texture. I don't know, that was weird. Anyway, we're moving along. That's all that matters, I guess. Now, don't expect this to be perfect. I am going to leave a little bit of space here just based off of, what we were talking about. I'm not sure if we're going to go that approach of utilizing that out there. We probably will, but I'm going to leave a little space right now anyway, just because I think it makes sense. I think there is one bale that might partially be in the way here a little bit up here that we might have to move, but no, it'll be okay. It's going to be close to about where our halfway point is here anyway, so it'll be all right. It'll be okay. I think right about there is probably going to probably do it for me. So now I got to realign this thing, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to get set up the way you want it to do. But we'll see if we can do it. Yeah, this is perfect. This is going exactly how I wanted it to go today. I actually didn't expect it to take as long as it actually did for us to move the bales we moved and to get the bales all the way up to the area. Well, I didn't think it was going to take, honestly, as long to even consider moving the bales as well, right? I was honestly in the mindset that initially, we were just going to buy a forklift of some sort or whatever we decided to choose, and we weren't going to buy that trailer that I ended up buying, right? The only reason we bought that trailer is because we knew we were going to have to move them an eternity away from where they were actually going, right? Our initial thought was they were just going to be here on the yard, but then the yard doesn't allow us to do that, so because there's too many of them on the map, which is very weird to me that would be a limitation. I guess the only thing I can think of, and I'm sure somebody can correct me in the comments, but the only thing I can think of, and it makes sense the more you think about it, but is that this map specifically is at like its max capacity as far as what is available on console, right? There's a limitation, right? And it's hit that max, and that's the reason why it's saying you can't place any more of these items down. You need to remove more. Now, I would have thought that the trees would allow us to put some down since we removed so many. I would have thought that would have been in a situation where we can do so, but evidently that is still not the case there either, so I am going to have to come back over here and touch up. I really didn't. I kind of put too much space over there on that side of the fence, so we will clean that up, don't worry. I know right now maybe it doesn't look like it's the best, and it's not, but we will get it all cleaned up. It will be in a better spot, I promise. When all is said and done, it will be. Now, eventually, what I said we were going to do down here, probably get rid of those trees and that fence and everything, that is eventually going to be the thing. We are going to eventually do that, I guess is how I should say it. That will eventually happen, but not for right now. Reason why is because it is December. We do have a few months here to play around with before we're going to be able to put anything in the ground, absolutely. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we at least have something in the ground when it does come time to plant. And you know, if I mess around with that too much, there's a probability that we might not be able to get everything done. So I just want to make sure we get one field set, and then if we have the time to do it before we drill, guess what? We'll take down those trees, we'll take down the fence, etc., and we'll go from there. But I just want to make sure that there is sufficient time for us to be able to make sure that we get something in the ground in all three of the fields that we currently have, right? Now, speaking of all three fields, the field up there where that was trees, the one that we started on, the field that we started with, or the land that we started with, I guess, in this case. A lot of conversation around in the comments around what we were going to put in there, right? Initially, I think you already know we just don't have a ton of money, so initially it's going to be something from the planter. I'm not sure what yet, but initially it's going to be that. But eventually, I've got some big plans for that. Some ideas were thrown out. A couple of those ideas were things that I actually had on my mind to at least potentially look into doing up there. One of those, which was called out, was poplar. I think that would be a fun one to do up there. I haven't done a whole lot of poplar on this series. I haven't done a whole lot of poplar on the game FS25, so I think that does make a lot of sense to consider doing that one. I've also thought about doing grapes or olives up there. I think that's a good field for that as well. So there's some options for sure. I'm not sure which path or which way we will go. But regardless, whenever we do decide to go down that path, it's obviously not going to be today. We've got a little ways to go before that's going to be a thing. So, right, I want to flip it to the other side, and now I forget. Rotate. It has to be unfolded. Whenever I try to flip it, it actually folds it up, and I thought that was just rotating it. It's not. So I want it to be on this side when I'm going up this side of the fence here. This is going to be a struggle to get up this hill here. This is a very, very sharp hill, but we're going to see what we can do. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit more where I want it to be at. And a lot of other people also mention, yeah, it sucks to do it this one time, but once the plowing's done, you don't necessarily have to plow anymore, right? I can always just cultivate and then plant and then, do herbicide or spray. You're correct, and that's likely what we're going to do. Just because, these are not the easiest things to maneuver around here, so more than likely, once we've got these fields set, we won't be plowing them again. It'll be a cultivator. But I guess, never say never, I guess, right? You never know, but the odds are that will not be occurring. Let's put it that way. Alright, so I think we've got a couple of fields now, so we can go ahead and start going more traditional up and downs. We've got to do a little bit of cleanup work here on the corners, but otherwise, I think we've got these set. Turn that back off. I know it doesn't bother a lot of people, but for whatever reason, I don't like having those up. I don't like having all the different screens up and things like that. I just think it just takes up too much on the screen specifically. I like looking at the game and the surroundings and everything. I don't really like looking at the menus, icons, etc., things like that. That's why I always turn them on and off. Maybe it's annoying to some people, but that's just my personal preference on it. I just don't like looking at them. All right, so we've got a little ways to go here, a little bit to go here, I guess. Let's get it done. It shouldn't take an absolute ton of time, because we've got a nice little headland pass done here. 2 headland pass done here, I guess, at this point. But nonetheless, we've got some work to do. So let's get going. Let's get it done. All right, we're pretty much done here. We might have a few little touch-up pieces here to do, but otherwise we are done with this field. And I know probably a lot of people in the comments are already said it or are saying it now, one way or another. Why are you breaking this up? Why wouldn't you just make it one big field? You've got, you know, a decent-sized plow. You've got a really decent-sized header for your harvester. And you've got a really good planter width, right? You're right, I do. And maybe eventually that will be what happens, but here early on, I just wanted to split it into 2 different fields for a couple of reasons. Mainly, it gives us the opportunity for 3 fields, so we can get 3 harvests out of it instead of just 1 or 2 harvests, I guess, in this instance. You know, so it gives us the opportunity to be able to plant different things at different seasons, different part of the season, excuse me, and you know, harvest it and plant it at different parts of the season as well. So it kind of helps try to, you know, provide us with a little bit more funds throughout the year, if you will. So that's the main reason why. But eventually, it likely will be all just one big massive field. I mean, let's just be honest. It probably will be pretty soon, sooner than you might think. But anyway, so yeah. So I think I have to have it in this position for us to be able to actually unhook it, which is a little weird. You would have thought the other way when it's folded up. You know, that it would allow you to back it in and unhook it, but it doesn't. It has to be in this setup. So we're just gonna park it back over here, kind of where we had it in the last episode or the last couple of episodes, just where it's been stored at. It's a decent spot for it, so we'll just leave it there. All right. Those are all done, so let's go and take a look at the sheep. I don't think they need water. I think this one actually comes with water, which is fantastic. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about it needing water. And their health's already going up. So we've got 22 out of the 410 animals that can be put into here, which is great. They'll reproduce at some point and kind of go on from there. But yeah, this is This is good, man. I'm very, very happy with it. This is a huge field for them. A huge field for them. They can have an absolute blast in here. Hopefully they get along, but they can have an absolute blast. But nonetheless, we're going to leave the episode at this point. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button on the case you have yet to do so. They're free to do. They help me out an absolute ton. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or ideas, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. That guy liked me a lot. He's just following me around. Thanking to my members, cannot thank them enough. They are absolute the best, and if you're interested in that, you get early access to videos like this one, including the ever so popular competitive one-tile challenge. There's also a link down below for my Discord and for my secondary channel, which is not Farming Simulator related, so if you're interested in any of that, it's all down there for you, as it always is. So recently, it was an older episode of this series, but somebody asked if, what the rules specifically are. Any series that I ever run, everything's always in the description of every video. So feel free to check that out. If you have questions about it, I'm happy to get back to you on that. I will try to get back to you whenever I can. Like I said, sometimes it takes me a couple of days, but I do read every single comment. So please feel free to ask any questions or make any comments you like, positive and negative. I'm always looking for it. I know there's negative ones. I can't make everyone happy. I totally get that. But if there's anything I can try to fix that maybe it's bothering you and it's an easy fix, I will certainly do so. So let me know down below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And we'll see you in the next one.